It really doesn't want to revolve. Alright, let's backpedal until we get to an answer. Have I got that springing back to front? That would do it. I think I may have that springing the wrong way round. Let's remove this. I want that drum to move clockwise. No, that would work. That's not it. Oh, that's moving smoothly now. It wouldn't move before. What's going on? This notch has to fall into place in the body at that point. The collar's held there, and the drum that spring is on the wrong way. I have put that spring in the wrong way round. So, nothing for it but to remove it. The drum needs to be able to drive that way. Interesting. Well, as it happens, there was no cause for alarm. There were probably 3 different things going on. I don't think I had the drum seated correctly in the base of the cavity. I didn't have enough tension on the rewind spring here to return the wind lever back to the start position. I hadn't settled the spring correctly around that shaft in order for that to work smoothly. And the 2 washers I've got up here, they're slightly dished. I think I had them facing cupped faces towards each other, which provided too much friction at the top. However, having said that, that also appears to work well now. The action of the shutter release appears to be snappy, and it appears to move smoothly. So I'm quite happy with that. I've got to clean the finder. That's very grubby. Of course, I've only got one piece of glass to clean here. The rear lens for the eyepiece is in the top cover, and that's already been cleaned. So I'll clean this, fit the viewfinder back in place, put the shutter on the front of the camera and see if it functions. So I'm just using some domestic glass cleaner. You don't need to use exotic substances. Certainly not for viewfinder lenses. This is quite crusty. But it's cleaning up well. 99% of the filth is on the outside, as you would expect, where it's open to fingers. That's fine, and I'll put that on the body. That's only held on with a single screw. If I can find the hole and get it started. There we go. That appears good. I think I want to fit the shutter to that now. No. Put the frame counter on. Is there anything else that needs to go on at this moment? The base of the camera, that can go on after the front, after the shutter's in place. Is that not seating? Okay, is that cocked? It was. That'll explain that. I'll just try cocking the shutter. I think that's in the rest position. It's not seating for one reason or another. I don't believe the shutter release is seating correctly there. No, it's not coupling. This is not coupling for one reason or another. Let me check that I've got that in its rest position. Take that to be there. A mystery. Well, as an instructional video, this one's been a bit of a disaster, but it's working lovely. It's working well. So what was the secret in getting the front back on? Well, I don't really know, to tell you the truth. It's just fought every step of the way. I've got no idea why, but eventually I stumbled upon the correct orientation for the gears, and it was away. So there you go, that part's done. And now I'll put that base plate back on the camera, I suppose, and the top cover. And the base plate just fits in here. Get that in under that hinge plate there. There we go, that's seated. 2 small screws. And the top cover. That's looking quite good. There was a little washer on the top there, a spacer under the shutter release. Check that the finder is clean, and it's not. I thought I'd cleaned that, but clearly I have not. And unlike the front glass, the majority of the filth in this case is on the inside. That's good now. Top cover goes on, seated snugly, single screw in the centre where the shoe is, and there's that's popping up nicely, a single screw down here in the body, where you can't see a thing because it's tucked away around the corner. There we go, it's in. It's done up tight. That's working nicely now. Could chance my arm with a self-timer, I suppose. Here we go. So, all I need to do now is put my leatherettes back on and slide this away in the cupboard and never speak of it again. I'll just scrape dried adhesive and so forth off these leatherettes. They're in pretty good shape. They're quite robust, these leatherettes. More robust than retina cameras of the same vintage. I don't know whether to put that down to the choice of plastic that was used to give this our pattern, or whether it was more down to the choice of base material that the plastic was laid down on. I don't know enough about those things. I'll wipe this off to get rid of any grease or oil or loose dust that will stop the adhesive from sticking. Of course, these ones I've got to stretch over the strap lugs, like putting a button on in place. Right, where is my adhesive? Here we go. Let's start with the front panel. I'll just put a good blob on there and I'll spread it out, make sure I get to the edges. It appears fine. Where does this fit? It fits here. Okay, so I've got to get it over that strap lug. Oh yeah, that worked pretty well. And get it seated in place. Make sure it's pressed down into the recess here. You can see how it's recessed into the corner there. Make sure all that's in place. That went over that strap leg a lot easier than I expected, to tell the truth. Now the second piece. Same deal, except this one has no cutouts at the corners. That's interesting. Always make sure that you've got the adhesive right to the corners. Corners and edges are the places leatherettes are going to come adrift. Leatherettes are not in the habit of lifting from the centre. Here we go. Same deal. Well, that went on very easily. I'm most impressed. It only leaves the base of the camera, and it's only a short piece, so it should be straightforward too. Now it's best practice not to do what I'm doing here, slopping great lumps of adhesive onto the leatherette and then spreading it out. You're better advised to put your adhesive onto another piece of paper and then transferring it over to the leatherette bit by bit, so that you don't end up with adhesive on the front face of the leatherette. Now my hands are sticking to this because I've got too much adhesive on it. This is a contact adhesive. Once it goes tacky, it wants to stick to any other surface that has the adhesive on it. Get this over that tripod socket and seat it into the recess. That's it. That's nice and neat. Frame counter appears to work smoothly. A lot of dust and dirt on here on my board, but there we have it. A nice Voigtlander Vito B camera that is now clean and tidy and in good working order, which it certainly wasn't when I started with it. So there you go. If you want to invest $10 in a camera and then spend a day sorting out its issues, you could have a $50 camera. Thanks for watching.